Me. This is the first time I'll be telling my story in public. But first, before I forget, I want to thank all the bands that came out today. And Royals for letting us have this here, and everyone that came. I guess I'll just go right into it because I don't know what else to say. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to start off with like the background. I was probably about 5 years old. I had a babysitter down the street. My mom was basically a single mom, and she was working all the time. So my brother and sister, they went to their grandparents' house, and I would go to a babysitter. The babysitter eventually was arrested for child pornography, and I guess my mom had to go to court and stuff, and there were pictures and videos with me. I didn't actually find this out until I was 18, so I was too scared to ask about it until then. Growing up, I was always a really angry kid because, you know, I was dealing with that and I had no idea what was even going on. So in high school, I started drinking a lot. I had a bunch of older friends, so there were plenty of parties to go to all the time. Junior year, I got really drunk at a party and I was sexually assaulted. And at first I blamed myself, and I was already really heavily into self-harm and things like that, so it only got worse from there. In 2012, I wasn't going to say that. I had a boyfriend at the time, and he helped me find myself. He helped me realize that a lot of things that happened in my life weren't my fault, and when I was maybe 15, I made a promise to myself that when I turned 18, that I would run away and commit suicide. And at that point, I was already 18, but I said to myself, when I get to my 20s, that's it. I won't be here anymore. And he helped me stay. And fast forward a few years, fast forward to this past March, I started getting really depressed again, and I was always on and off suicidal, but in March was when it started coming back really strong, and it just got worse and worse, and I would just kind of hide it because I always wanted to be that strong person for everyone. I wanted everyone to be happy, and I didn't care what I was going through. I didn't want to put it on other people that I was struggling, so it was all on me. And so on May 11th, I don't remember most of that day, but I remember taking the red line home, and I got Five Guys or something before that, but I got back to my apartment, and I just sat there, and I calmly, really, really calmly, I was just like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to kill myself. And I went to bed that night, and I felt happy. I went to bed like, okay, I won't have to go through any of this anymore. And so the next morning, I took the South Shore back to Indiana. I went to Whiting. I took an Uber to Whiting Park, and I sat there. I've always loved the park. It was always really beautiful to me. So I wanted, you know, my last moments here to be really calm and peaceful and beautiful. And I haven't told anyone at all about this yet, but there was a moment I thought to myself, maybe I should just go home. I don't have to do this. But then I started thinking, how will I get home? I'll have to ask people for favors, and I already feel like a burden enough, so I have to go through with it. I don't want to involve anyone else. So I was going to jump in front of a train near the park, but my friend found me, and he knew something was wrong, so he stopped me. He calmed me down and everything. And that night was good. I hung out with my friend. We drove around for a while and stuff, and we had a sleepover, and she was just going to take me home in the morning, well, to the train station in the morning, so I can get to work and all that. And I went to bed happy, and I wasn't having those thoughts anymore. And this is where it kind of gets blurry, but I took the South Shore back to Chicago in the morning. This is basically what people have helped me remember, but I have to take the red line. I had to take the red line back to my apartment, so I went to the station at State and Lake, and I remember this. This is one of the very few memories that I had waking up, but I remember standing in the subway station, and I was watching the trains go by, and I was kind of timing like when the best time to jump was, you know, when it would be going at its top speed before stopping at the station. And I remember jotting down on a note really fast. And that's all I remember until I woke up in the hospital. I was in a coma for 5 days. And when I first woke up, I didn't know where I was. It was almost like waking up from a nap. And I kept asking the nurses, what happened? And they just told me I was in an accident. And first I thought it was just a car accident. Like, oh, okay, I was driving along with friends and we got in an accident. And then eventually they said it was a train accident. And at first I still had no idea why there would be an accident involving me in a train. And it took a few more days to figure out, like, okay, that's what happened. But I had a few friends out there, and there was actually a guy I was kind of seeing, and he was the first one at the hospital when I got there, like before family or anyone else. And he surprised me with a visit one day, and he told me that he thought it was his fault and all of these things, and basically he didn't want to be even friends anymore. He ended up telling me that he thought it was really selfish of me to put all of that on other people, and honestly, everyone thinks that suicide is selfish, but it's not at all. I mean, the reason I was doing it was because I didn't want people to have to look out for me all the time. I didn't want people to have to make sure I was doing all right or anything like that. I was trying to help the people that I felt I was burdening. This is kind of funny, but I saw Straight Outta Compton last week, and I didn't know the story of NWA. I knew they were a really huge group, and I grew up listening to them, but I went to the movie just thinking I was going to hear some cool music and stuff, but it inspired me so much. They didn't care about the consequences that would come with their actions, and though I'm not fighting against drugs or murder or anything like that, I'm still fighting to help people to survive. And there's a lot of people that they see me, I'm still struggling, because even last week I was suicidal again, and that's happened a lot since I've woken back up, but I try my best to preach acceptance and loving each other and all those positive things, but since I am human, I'm still struggling. There are times where I mess up, and there are people that see me as a hypocrite or as some mean person or whatever, But for every person that thinks that, there's at least 3 or 4 other people that I could be helping by simply sharing my story like this. And that's really, that's all I want to do. Like, it's really hard to be in front of you guys. But I know that open communication with these kind of things, it can save lives. And so with that being said, I also want to help you guys spot the warning signs for people that are suicidal. And I'm going to kind of relate it to the things that I went through before. Okay, so these are just general ones, but the first would be long-lasting sadness, mood swings, and unexpected rage. I mean, I guess that one's kind of self-explanatory, but there's also the hopelessness, which is also, I feel like most people with depression feel. Things won't get better. You can't see a light. You can't see anything. It's just your future is not there at all. You kind of just live hour by hour, minute by minute. Sleep problems. I've always had this kind of thing where I either slept way too much or not at all. The sudden calmness, I can relate that back to the night before everything happened, when I just calmly thought to myself, like, hey, my life's over. Withdrawal, I still do that, but people will stop talking to the people they love. I moved out to Chicago and I only talked to like 3 people. I basically pushed everyone else out. And then there's the changes in personality and appearance. And I've always kind of had this, I always thought of it as a joke, but I always said there was 2 different me's. There was always the calm, sweet one, and then there was the one that didn't care and did whatever she wanted. So that would be like the personality change for me. And then the change in appearance. I don't think many people know this, but drastic haircuts and things like that, that's a big indicator. The first time I shaved my head was because I was suicidal. And every time since then has been the same reason, because I was going to end my life. And then there's the impulsiveness that goes back to the other persona I had, but I would drink all the time. I wouldn't care. Even with partners, I wouldn't think, I would just do. There was no boundaries because I didn't even want to be here anyway. And then there's recent trauma, like if a loved one dies, or like a lot of people said, breakups. And then making preparations, like visiting loved ones or giving away things, making a will. What I did before was I made sure to send out texts to all the most important people in my life. I sent them texts, and it was more like an appreciation thing. I didn't really put it out there that it was a goodbye. Then the last one is obviously threatening suicide. Don't take that lightly, even if it seems like they're joking or they're doing it for attention. Doing things for attention is a huge sign of there's something being wrong. Because if you needed attention that badly, then there wouldn't, no one needs, just make sure to keep an eye out on people, strangers, people you love, it doesn't matter. I'm good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.